first question is the one I have to ask you is, do you deal with people from out of state or do you deal more with people from Colorado? Like where I live up north, I'm not in a mountain town, and you make it very clear the differences between a mountain town and like Denver. People think Denver's a mountain town and kind of not. So
Yeah.
are you dealing with people who are from Colorado and looking to get out of the bustling cities, or are you dealing with people everywhere else?
Yeah, it's mostly out of Colorado. There's a handful in Colorado, but mostly out of Colorado. I have a lot of Texans, a lot of people from Arizona, a little bit of Utah, a lot of bordering states, and a handful from the East Coast, West Coast, peppered in, but most are out of state. And
And are people finding you from the YouTube videos?
absolutely, yeah, that's been 95% of my business.
Wow.
It's been YouTube. Yeah.
That's really cool because there's a whole different animal there of getting that algorithm and grabbing those people. But I can see why people are calling you after those videos because, like I said, they're very informative. As far as the market goes today, you're dealing with people out of state. When people think about the dream of moving to Colorado, and it's like, man, I want to be in the mountains and I want to ski and this and that. And let's talk specifically about the market right now, 2025. What are you seeing right now for median home prices in Durango and surrounding?
Definitely. So in town, Durango, it's very, very different from in town to what we call county, once it's out of just that pocket of right around downtown Durango. And so out of the county, you're seeing prices really hold still over the last 12 months. I think they dropped by 0.5% in the last year, whereas in town Durango, they went up about 16%. So it's so drastic, the
So
difference.
your home prices went up 16% in town
It's crazy to think.
and
Yeah.
they dropped in the county.
And they dropped just a hair in the county.
When you say,
However,
yeah,
oh, go ahead.
when you say county, are you talking about like how far outside of the city are you talking?
I mean, we're talking from downtown Durango, we're talking 10-minute drive,
And that's
and that's
that. Wow,
county.
that's interesting.
It's just basically out of city limits. So yeah, it's 10 minutes each way, going west, and it's very broken up town in the sense of you've got mountain ridges all over. So what would take somebody in Denver 10 minutes, it takes you 45 or 30 because you're going around the mountain or around a ridge or whatever. So to your question though, it's really I'll word it in a little bit more generalities. It's tough to get into the market under 700K. If you don't have 700K, don't qualify for that. It's a fixer upper, not necessarily a fixer upper, but most likely if you're wanting to be close to downtown Durango. And it's a pretty small home, 11,
So
1200 square feet.
700K median right now for Durango.
About 750.
750. Now that's everything. That's like a little condo. That's a second home.
It's
That's
single family, single family
single
homes.
family. Are a lot of people able to come out there and just buy like a second home? Because I mean, how far is skiing for you in Durango?
Yeah, you're 39 minutes from downtown Durango to
Okay.
Purgatory Ski Resort up north.
Okay. So I would imagine, I know a lot of people, I help a lot of people who are always looking for, they're not looking for a something big. They're just looking for a place to dump the skis and, crash after skiing.
Right.
Are those opportunities available in Durango?
They are, and they're pretty easy to come by, especially if what I talk about a lot to clients is we talk about price, condition, and location. And it's like, look, if you need all three to be perfect, you're in the 1 to 1.5 or even 2 million range. If you want everything just super special. If once you're willing to give once you're willing to give two of those, and it doesn't mean you're in a crappy area, it doesn't mean you're in a shack, it just means give a little, then it's pretty easy to find what you're describing.
So
Under
price,
a million.
you said price, condition, location. If you want them all, you're going to pay a premium.
Right.
What are the options? Like, let's say that I'm a borrower from out of state, let's say Arizona, and I want to come to Durango. Obviously, I have other options. There are other cities that we can talk about. Do you represent other cities as well, or are you strictly just in Durango?
We do. So we can cover about 80% of the entire state. So we've got a team
Oh,
up in
okay.
Denver area, and then I also cover the Albuquerque and majority of New Mexico as well.
Okay. So when people come to you with Durango, it's like, this isn't our only option. We can compare. You give them a pretty good analysis, right? What are some other comparative options in surrounding areas?
Yeah, perfect. So when you're giving me closer to 700 and we're pushing quite a bit below a million, I'm not going to give you the Aspen, Vale, Breckenridge, all those, right? It's just impossible to get into those for that number. And what's phenomenal about Durango, and for people watching, our YouTube channel is living in Durango, Colorado, and we just did a video comparing other mountain towns. And so if you want to see the 30-minute version, check that out. Yeah, so the Cliff Note version of that video is really that most of those areas are really going to be, we are top 3 for least expensive mountain areas. And those other 2 areas, I'm trying to think of the exact cities, but Grand Junction is one of them. And then there's another few that are pretty close. But we're really at the top for a true mountain.
So if I want to be in a mountain
Mountain town.
town and I want good skiing, because I've skied there, it's pretty awesome. I mean, it's
That's
everything you could want. It's perfect. But if I want to be realistic and I don't have $3 million for Aspen, or $2.5 million for Telluride,
right.
or even $1 million for Breck, 1.2 for Breck, Durango has what I probably would want if that's more my budget.
Absolutely. And although yes, inventory is low, and the conversation I usually have with clients is, again, going back to those 3 factors, is like, you're not going to see 50 homes fitting the exact bill of what you want. There's not some big neighborhood with 50 homes on the market. There's a lot of neighborhoods with 1 home or 2 homes on the market. So it's very different in that you can't like look at this like in Albuquerque or Denver where you can just pick whatever you want. It's there's a lot of different criteria that this home doesn't have, this home does have as far as location. So there's just so many different factors.
I learned in your video yesterday that Grand Junction is like the Albuquerque of Colorado.
Yeah, that's how I would put it.
Kind of looks like it.
And I would compare it to, because it's a little bit more
Arid.
desert feel.
Yeah. When you're talking with clients, what do clients want? Like, how are you? I mean, obviously we talked about the price. I mean, that's a big factor. I mean, if you can't afford $2 million, you're probably not going to go up there to Aspen. But what are people really looking for when you meet them? And those things point to Durango. Like, what other boxes does Durango check?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you an actual conversation I just had a couple weeks ago. And this is where I think this conversation will really put it into perspective. Because a lot of people say, they kind of want the dream that they see on TV, or even what they see in my YouTube videos, is they really want that combination of, we want flat, but we want the forest, and we also want to be on the river. And I'm like, guys, that's $3+ million if you're lucky. And there's one of those homes on the market right now, and it needs to be fully renovated. So it's like, and even that home doesn't have very many trees. So it's like, it's very tough to get kind of the trees, the view. Well, and I should bring up the view. It's everybody wants the view, and it's tough to get a view. You're not Bozeman, Montana. Like, a lot of those homes have views because it's a lot flatter and just a lot more open. We don't have as much open flat area, and where we do, I show people and they're like, oh, way too flat, no trees, I don't want that. And so it's tough to get that.
So view is a big deal. People are really, I think a lot of people have this conception about Colorado. Like, if you're from the Midwest, where I'm originally from, Colorado is just like, it's a postcard everywhere you turn your head. I think people have that thought process about moving out here. So I'm sure they're expecting that. Then you show them a little secluded area that's kind of dug down a little bit at the bottom of a hill, and they're like, where's the Rocky Mountains?
It's true. Yeah.
So you have to let them know, like, hey, location. That was one of our factors.
Right. And we, again, just got to, even if you're at 2 million, like, you're still going to give something. It's going to be a little bit of give and take.
So you have to really set the expectations. Like, yeah, you are in Colorado, 35 minutes from the ski hill, which is pretty awesome. But in this particular location, you may not see the mountains.
Right. Well, especially if you want to be in the forest. That's the big trade-off of stuff.
And I keep talking about skiing, John, because I'm a skier, and it's like the coolest thing in the world to me. But besides skiing, do you get a lot of people who are not skiers and they're just here for anything else? Any other reasons why people are moving to Durango?
Yeah, we do. I mean, you get a lot of people just wanting to get away from the big city. I want to get away from the big city, and I want to be in an area where it doesn't snow as much as all the other mountain towns, still have access to fishing, and just have some space, still be in the mountains. People that just love the mountains, but maybe they're not huge outdoors people.
Let's talk about snowfall. That's a really good point. To the average person, they don't realize that the snowfall amounts vary tremendously across the state. Where does Durango stack up with the other areas?
Yeah, we're basically at the bottom of the list. So as far as snowfall, so we're fairly equal with, or I would say Denver is definitely lower than us. But the question is, do you consider them a mountain town? I'd say not necessarily. There's mountain towns all around them, but I wouldn't consider them that. And then you've got Grand Junction, and they are right below us, or almost the same. as snowfall, and then I'd say 90% of the other mountain towns are double or triple the snowfall if we're just comparing mountain towns.
As a skier, I'm thinking powder day, man. I want that snow.
Right,
But there's
right.
a little bit that comes with that, right? It's like the snow plow, the little bit of inconvenience. I mean, I was in where were we? We were in Tahoe a couple years ago when they had like 10 feet of snow. We were there
Right.
skiing and it was pretty awesome, but it was also like a little bit of it felt a little bit, I mean, it was a little bit of a hassle. I mean, shoveling every day and just, so
Totally.
I completely get that. Tell me about your listings and tell me about what's working right now to help sellers, because I know you get a lot of calls from sellers as well. What are you noticing
Right.
right now in the market?
Right. So just to kind of give a generalization, this is what I've been telling buyers as well, is that if their home, a lot of buyers are like, oh, it's a buyer's market, the market's come down, interest rates are high. And it's like, not really. Like, yes, interest rates are higher, but we're at 3.5 months of inventory. So what I want to tell sellers is if you take it very seriously, that it's still a very competitive market for you as a seller. You want to have your home perfect. You want to have it staged nicely. We work with a stager that we offer as part of our listing services just to do a consultation, help you with your own furniture. And that is a big piece of it because buyers make their decision within 3 seconds of walking in the door. It's not like they're firm on yes or no, but if it's a no, they're pretty quick to kind of decide that.
That's really interesting. I mean, I'm going to talk
Yeah,
about that real quick.
sure.
You guys work with a stager and you understand that people are 3 seconds. 3 seconds, they're saying this thing smells old. This
Right.
smells like old ski boots in here. This feels, I know that because like I said, like we just talked about before, people imagine Colorado as like a beautiful fireplace and the wood
It's a,
burning and it's
yeah,
like log cabin and,
right.
A-frame with all the glass, showing the
That's right.
purples. I mean, mountain range, but it's not really like that. So staging is helping, obviously.
Right, right. Well, and to your point about that picture perfect, just to go back to that real briefly, is it's like that if you have the budget for it, right?
Right.
It's like at 2.5 million, we can find that. At 1.5, it's like we got to give
So
and take.
number one appears to be setting expectations. And that's a tough one because people watch movies, you watch Dumb and Dumber. I mean, there's scenes in there where
Yeah,
they're showing up at these places in Colorado that are
right.
just amazing. So people, you have to set the expectations. And I think
Yeah,
better to get that out of the way right away, save yourself some time.
right. Absolutely. You've also got, yeah, a big factor is at Purgatory Ski Resort, you get the amount of snow that a lot of these other towns get, but it's the same amount that they get in town. And so what's phenomenal about Durango is you can live in town Durango, 39 minutes away from the resort, get 65 inches of snow, which you might get a day where you get 6 inches, and that's a big day. Whereas at Purgatory, they got a foot and a half. So you drive up, you got the
That's
snow, you
crazy.
drive home, and it's gone. Or you've got some snow, but it's not crazy. So that's, again, a big comparison to these other mountain towns.
Let's also compare the mountain. When we talk about mountain towns, Durango's a little bit bigger. Am I wrong? I mean, compared to, let's say, Breck, I mean, is it
I
similar?
believe
Oh, tell me about
so.
the population
Yeah.
and the size of the downtown and what's available.
Definitely. So we've got, and I'm going to give another plug. We've got our next video coming out is all about downtown Durango and the community and what we offer, which I've never done a video like that. So we walk around downtown and talk about it. But Durango is about 20,000 people, actually a hair higher, in town Durango. And then in the county, we're about 50,000 or a little under 50. And so, yes, we have a lot more amenities than a lot of these real small mountain towns where they're only focused around skiing. So a good example is Telluride. Telluride has times where they just fully shut down. You can go and visit and there's nothing open and they've got that shoulder season where they're getting ready for ski season, but they're just shut down.
Because
Well,
some towns are built strictly around a tiny little main street, and after 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., it's done.
right,
If you're talking about 20,000 people, I mean, there's going to be some breweries that are going to stay open. You're going to have some nightlife a little bit. You're going to have grocery stores open a
you
little
do.
later. I
Totally.
mean, it's a little strange when I go to a ski town and it shuts down completely at like 7 p.m. And
Right.
but I really think for the person moving from a city, I mean, that would get a little discouraging, to be honest, for me personally.
Right.
So that's a definite plus, I think, is being a little bigger. You have a little more amenities. You also have more of a city, I would say,
Right.
versus a
Absolutely.
ski town.
That's exactly right. We're not just focused around skiing. We've also got some of the best biking trails in all of Colorado. We've also got great whitewater rafting. We've got so many different things than just skiing. And oh yeah, we've got some trails, but they're not that great. You know, we've got some phenomenal mountain biking. They're putting a ton of money right now into the Mesa Bike Park. They just built 2 or 3 downhill biking trails that are banked, that are like groomed, very, very nicely done. That's
That's
all
awesome.
free.
All right, I got to ask you. I mean, all we've done, I mean, it sounds like the perfect place, but we have to be honest with ourselves. What are the cons? I mean, why would somebody not be a good fit for Durango? Go.
Sure, sure. I'm going to start with price. You know, it
Okay.
starts with budget. If you have that, you know, it is one of the more expensive places in the country to live. Now, again, if we're comparing to mountain towns, yeah, we're
I was
lower
just
on the
going to
list.
say that's compared to Colorado, it's really not.
It's a pro there, but if we just compare to the whole country, like I
Okay.
had a client come out here from, I think it was Ohio, and they looked a little bit and they're like, why on earth would I spend 750 when I get a mansion in Ohio? And I'm like, sure. If you love Ohio, then do Ohio. You know,
Good
you
luck skiing in Ohio.
right, right. So it's like if you're not sold on the outdoors, then Durango isn't for you
Yeah.
because you are
That's what
going
you're
to pay a
paying for,
premium
right?
for it. That's
That's what you're
exactly right.
paying for. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right. So I think that's the first con for sure. The next one, I would say, is the size of town. If you want those amenities, if you want to go be able to hear, you know, your A-list celebrity musicians, people like that, you're just not going to hear them here. However, we do have a lot of music. We have a lot of theater. We've got a college. So compared to, again, a lot of other small towns, we've got a college, and so they've got a lot of
But
good music and that kind of
John, I
thing.
have to ask you here.
Yeah.
If you did want that, if you wanted skiing and you wanted top tiered bands,
Mhm.
where would you live? That's also a ski town.
See, I don't know. I mean, I think you're really just
Mm.
living somewhere close to Denver, and you're
Yeah.
within an hour drive of Denver, half an hour drive of Denver, and then you're going to Denver.
There you go.
Again, if we're looking at Colorado.
Got it. All right. Price, size of the town,
Mhm.
which depends on what you're looking for. Any more cons we need to be
No,
that you see or
yeah, so with that is really just going to be amenities. So it's still size of town, but it's going to be a lack of amenities. We don't have Target. We don't have a lot of popular shopping places like Trader Joe's or even a mall. Like we have a mall and it's got like 3 stores in it, and like those are potentially going away.
got
So
it.
it's really those kind of things.
Okay. Rapid fire. We're running. We have about 5 minutes left. I know you're busy. Average days on market for homes that you're selling right now. Do you know that?
Yeah, we're right under 60,
60
and it
days. And that's about the state average
varies.
too, I think.
I think that's close, and I really want to say that it really varies on price point, really varies on location as well. And we've
Okay.
got
60
several different locations.
Any tips that you have for people looking for financing in the area? I mean, obviously there are loans out there. We are seeing them, but are you seeing any seller concessions or anything like that that's working by you guys right now?
This is the time where I say call Tim. He's got your back. But I think yes and no. We're seeing some seller concessions. Again, I'll go back to if it's that gem, if it's that beautiful home that really has everything that you want and it's not really funky, usually you're still finding yourself in a bidding war. There's still a good chance of that bidding war. So be careful with wanting seller concessions, or we bump up the price and get those concessions by
Yeah.
going over asking.
Yeah, we see a lot of seller concessions in northern Colorado outside of the ski towns. All right. But I want to thank you for your time today. And I really appreciate what you do for educating people about Colorado and specifically Durango. You are truly the expert. And when your new videos come out, we will definitely share those with our viewers. And great job down there, man. We really appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Yeah, thank you.